And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, the Trump campaign is switching gears. They're focusing on an issue very important to nearly every American, and that's the state of our economy. Now, earlier today, Donald Trump unveiled his plan to spark GDP growth and wage increases, and while getting America's fiscal house in order and getting to balanced budgets. Watch this.
I am proposing an across-the-board income tax reduction, especially for middle-income Americans. It will present a night and day contrast to the job-killing, tax-raising, poverty-inducing Obama-Clinton agenda. All of our policies should be geared toward keeping jobs and wealth inside of the United States. Under my plan, no American company will pay more than 15% of their business income in taxes. We will make America grow again.
Joining us now with reaction, senior trade advisor to the Trump campaign, Dan Domenico is with us, as well as Trump's National Finance Committee chairman. Member, it's Anthony Scaramucci. All right, I'm going to go through numbers where we were, where we are, and I want everyone to pay attention at home. Because if you're thinking about voting for Hillary, she wants to continue Donald Trump's policy. So let's look at the numbers if we can. The average employer-sponsored health care premium, okay, between 2009 and today. Look at this. Single family, the amount up, $4,170 per family. Remember, you were supposed to keep your doctor, keep your plan, save on average $2,500 per family per year. Not the case. The inflation-adjusted median household income, well, that's down $185 between January 2009 and June of 2016. Okay, real dollars, real down, and you're paying more for insurance. If you look at, for example, the national debt per person in August of 2016, a whopping $59,783. By the time Obama leaves office, he will accumulate more debt than every other president, all 43 presidents before him combined. You want to look at food stamps under Obama? Look at these numbers. In January of 2009, 31.9 million. Today, 44.39 million. Look at all the millions of Americans now on food stamps. Labor force participation, the lowest numbers since the 1970s. And that means more people out of work, and they don't count those people in the unemployment numbers that you're fed every month because they don't count the chronically unemployed and those that have given up looking for work. All right, let's talk a little bit about the black community. If you look at food stamp use for black Americans, it's up 58%. Labor force participation rate, 20% increase in the black community of those out of the labor force. Staggering numbers and statistics. If you look at the number of African Americans in poverty, that's up 8% under Obama, 8.2% to be exact. Number of African Americans, as I said, up by almost 20% that are out of the labor force. Home ownership rate for African Americans is down 4.6%. By the way, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. And this is the slowest recovery since the 1940s, for crying out loud. Median household income is also lower for African Americans under Obama, as you can see up on the screen, 1.5%. All right, so real simple. We have a doubling of the national debt. We have millions more in poverty and on food stamps. Labor force participation lowest in all of these years. You have the worst recovery since the 40s, if you want to even call it a recovery, lowest home ownership in 51 years. Hillary's going to do the same. Why would
you left out one thing, Sean? You've created more billionaires. So what typically happens in a left-leaning society is that the rich get very, very rich. They cipher off the top, and then the lower and middle class continues to struggle. And so when you have left-leaning policies, you have to judge them by what they actually do as opposed to their intentions. That's what Milton Friedman always said. And so the plan that the plan that
Donald Trump
is putting out is a brilliant plan because it inspires confidence. It's simple. It's easy to understand for the small business person, and it'll give people the opportunity to start consuming again, which will drive the consumption clock and growth in the United States.
Dan, let's look at what Trump laid out today. We'll put it up on the screen. 15% corporate tax. I also like the idea of all these multinational corporations. There's not millions, there's not billions, but there's trillions of dollars parked overseas that they won't bring back to this country because of the confiscatory taxation that they would face if they brought that money back. You lower the rate, you incentivize them to bring it back. That means they'll invest in research and development. They'll invest in manufacturing centers. They'll invest in factories. That's jobs for Americans. All right, 15% corporate tax, end the death tax, renegotiate some bad trade deals like NAFTA, stop TPP, repeal and replace Obamacare. Hopefully competition will lower the amount of money families are now paying, up nearly $5,000 a year, and lift energy restrictions. How many jobs can be created in the energy field alone, high-paying jobs? And we have the benefit of national security because we're not counting on countries that hate our guts for that lifeblood of our economy.
Sean, everything you say is 100% accurate. The jobs are in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. One thing I'd like to say about Trump's speech today. The title of his speech was an America First Economic Plan, Winning the Global Competition. That's very key, because what he has proposed in the four main principal areas he focused on of taxes, trade, regulatory reform, and energy is all designed to work together to improve our ability to compete in the global economy. Not to run from it, not to be isolationist, but to actually go out there and compete and win in such a way that it benefits every American, not just the richest people in America and not just the multinational corporations. Most of America has been left behind.
Well, let's take a look.
Over 95 million people.
Trump talked about it today. Detroit, per capita income under $15,000, about half the national average. 40% of their city residents live in poverty, over 2.5 times the national average, Anthony. The unemployment rate, more than twice the national average. Half of all Detroit residents don't work. This is one of our greatest cities. You look at Detroit, Baltimore, all Democrat run, and those cities tend to still vote Democratic.
Well, now because they're on the poverty maintenance dependency, Sean, and that's why they're voting Democratic, because they know they're going to get that lucre from the government. What you need to do in cities like that is create free enterprise zones, give them a school choice, which Mr. Trump talked about today, and create new infrastructure for them, and you'll see those cities regrow. That could be a very, very vibrant city in 10 years.
Entire neighborhoods and consolidating services. You see homes on eBay for $1.
But it's not the only city. You've got Newark right across the river. It could be New York, Sean, if we're not careful here.
Well, very scary. Thank you both. Dan, Anthony, thank you. Joining us now with more. Former 2016 Republican presidential candidate, former Texas Governor Rick Perry. You know, Governor, I have often applauded the job creation in your state of Texas while you were governor. If we didn't include nationally the jobs created in Texas, there would have been net negative job growth in Obama's term in office. How do you turn this around? What did you think of Trump's speech, and how do you compare it to the last 8 years?
Well, it was spot on, and it was also simplistic, and I think that's really important. For almost 14 years, from 2001 through 2014, there was an experiment, if you will. The 12th largest economy in the world put tax policy into place, regulatory policies into place, public school policies into place, legal policies into place, and it exploded. And I'm talking about the state of Texas. It exploded job creation-wise all across the sector, whether you were African American, whether you were Hispanic, whether you were in the lower economic sector, or whether you were at the top. You saw improvement. And that occurred because of competition. We competed with these other 50 laboratories of innovation out there, the other states, and we won because we put tax policy, regulatory policy, doing exactly what Donald Trump is talking about doing, where America becomes a competitive place again. All of that money that's offshore will flood back in here. When you put a tax policy into place that is not confiscatory, as you call it, and you're absolutely correct with that. So, you know, this is a beautiful song for the people that want to create jobs in this country.
You know, he pointed out something that I have often pointed out in New York, about 60 cents. If you add federal taxes, FICA taxes, state taxes. I live in the second highest property tax county in the country in New York. You add it all together, sales taxes and other hidden taxes, it's over 60 cents out of every dollar I make goes to government. Donald Trump pointed out today that the average person pays 31.5% of their wages to income and payroll taxes. You add local and state taxes, that's another 10%. And the business tax rate is near 40% when you add in taxes at the state level, which makes the United States the highest business tax rate among major industrialized countries in the world. No, if I was a multinational corporation, I wouldn't bring money here, would you?
No, sir, and they're not. That's one of the reasons we see the offshoring that's occurring is because we're holding them up, and they know that they can't have a return on their investment. Wouldn't it be great? I think Americans agree that wouldn't it be great to have a president of the United States who actually put policies into place, devolve power out of Washington, D.C., back to these states and let these states be competitive, and at the international level send a real message of, listen, if you want to compete, America's tax policy, regulatory policy, we're going to have public school policies that these states are going to be in charge of that are going to really create a skilled workforce.
Yeah.
At that particular point in time, America explodes economically.
Governor, I contend the corporations don't pay taxes. Corporations pass those taxes on to we, the consumer.
You're absolutely correct.
So the highest corporate tax rates in the world means we, the consumer, are paying that much more for the goods and services that we buy, correct?
Well, we drive these companies offshore. I mean, listen, they have a bottom line. And look at what happened in California. We went and recruited businesses out of California and other states, too. But California was where the fishing was the best, and you fish where the fish are. So when you overtax, overregulate, and overlitigate, guess what?
Yeah.
They're going to look for places to go. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's done. When you add the military side of this and building this military back up and securing this country, when economics, military, securing the border, securing this country, that's what Americans are looking forward to.
Donald Trump talked about 2,000 new regulations since Obama's been president. I used to see you a lot in New York. You came to New York, and Rick Scott came to New York, and Bobby Jindal came to New York, because you were stealing New York businesses and saying there's a better economic climate down in Texas. How many businesses were you able to persuade to move down there?
Well, there were a lot. I don't know what the exact number is, but during one period of time, Texas created more jobs, and it was like a 4 or 5 year period of time. Texas created more jobs than the rest of the country combined. It can
by the way,
happen
I give you
to
credit.
this
That's
country.
very clever. Come to my state. You're helping your state, and you're also helping the companies out because they're all saving money. And if we would do that nationally, we'd all make money.
But you're also helping this country, and that's what this is really all about.
Yes, it is.
You know, Hillary Clinton is about 4 more years of this stagnant economy that Barack Obama has put into place. I mean, he doesn't know how to create jobs because he's never created one in his life. I think it's time to have a president of the United States that understands how to do this.
All right, Governor, good to see you. Thank you. Congratulations on that great success story. And coming up, Iran executes a nuclear scientist, the rogue regime in Tehran, claiming he was spying for the U.S. And welcome back to Hannity. So over the weekend, Iran announced it recently executed one of their nuclear scientists, Shahram Amiri. Now, the rogue regime in Tehran claimed that he was spying for the United States. Now, yesterday, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas made a stunning revelation about this man. Take a look.
You mentioned the Iranian scientist that was recently executed. Now, of course, I'm not going to comment on what he may or may not have done for the United States government, but in the emails that were on Hillary Clinton's private server, there were conversations among her senior advisors about this gentleman.
Now, as soon as that interview aired, the news spread quickly. The Drudge Report tweeted, quote, Clinton email led to execution in Iran, ? Which Donald Trump retweeted. Now, the Clinton campaign firing back today saying, quote, the Trump campaign has never met a conspiracy theory it didn't like. He and his supporters continue to use increasingly desperate rhetoric to attack Hillary Clinton and make absurd accusations because they have no ideas for the American people. It's pretty remarkable to baselessly claim that. Hillary Clinton is responsible for this tragic death. Joining us now with reaction, the author of The Field of Fight, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. I'm going right back to Tom Cotton's statement, and I'll read it again. He said, but in the emails that were on Hillary Clinton's private server, there were conversations among her senior advisors about this gentleman. Okay, either they were about this guy or they weren't about this guy, and if they were, would that have possibly contributed to this guy's execution?
Yeah, Sean, I mean, absolutely. You know, let's quit, dancing around what we know is the truth here. The truth is that Hillary Clinton's extreme carelessness with the use of her unclassified email devices and her unclassified server has placed people at risk around the world. The cost that the unknown cost right now actually is something that we're going to have to bear the brunt of for probably years to come. The human cost that we may have just seen in the hanging death of this Iranian nuclear scientist who returned to Iran and was publicly exposed in some email traffic that Hillary Clinton's aides have used is just stunning. I mean, there's going to be a cost here, and it's a cost to our country's national security. And it just shows the carelessness, the recklessness, and the lack of accountability of a person who thinks that she should be the commander-in-chief of our country. Give me a break.
You know, I look at all of this and I look at what he said this weekend. This person had access to the country's secret and classified information, had linked to this is what Iran says, according to the AP. Yeah. Iran confirmed that he had been hanged for treason and spying, and that they said this person had access to the country's secret classified information, has been linked to our hostile and #1 enemy, America, the great Satan. A spokesman for the Iranian judiciary said he provided the enemy with vital and secret information about the country. So it would appear that this guy was working for us. It would appear that he was compromised and somehow was found out. Now, if Senator Cotton, pretty credible senator, says that he knows that, in fact, this information came from her server, do you make the connection? Is she responsible then by being reckless and irresponsible and not protecting that server for what happened here?
Yeah, Sean, you know, here's what we know, okay? What we know is that Hillary Clinton, as defined by the director of the FBI, our own director of our own FBI, described her as extremely careless with the use of personal devices to send and receive highly sensitive, classified national security-related information. And the results of that are going to impact us, and they are going to have a cost in economic costs as well as human costs. And this recent example is likely one of those. And I applaud Senator Cotton for standing up to be counted. I mean, this is Hillary Clinton is just someone who is not accountable. She was reckless in her use of this means of communicating while she was the Secretary of State of this country. And I'm telling you that knowing what the possibilities are that she also exposed, there are going to be other untold costs that are going to come at the expense of our nation's national security.
What about, let me play Tom Cotton from Fox News Sunday yesterday, talking about the money that was given to Iran, and we now have the confirmation of one of the hostages that plane wasn't allowed to taxi and take off until that money landed. That plane landed. Let's go to Tom Cotton.
It doesn't really matter, though, what President Obama says. It matters what the Iranians think, and it matters what dictators and terrorists and gangsters all around the world think. And they clearly think that this was a ransom payment, and that if they take an American hostage, then maybe they, too, will get a $400 million windfall in 500 euro notes on an unmarked plane. That's why it's so dangerous.
Doesn't this encourage other countries now to take Americans hostage because now America pays ransom?
Yeah, the perception or reality is sort of what Tom Cotton talked about. He's right. I mean, it doesn't make any difference what the real deal was here, what the truth is. And frankly, it's hard to discern what the truth is from our current administration because they've been so dishonest on this issue with the whole Iranian nuclear deal. So, I mean, it doesn't make any difference. What it does is for the tyrants around the world, and many of them I talk about in my book, Sean, they will take advantage of the weakness that the United States of America is demonstrating and has demonstrated for the last 8 years.
General, thank you. We appreciate your insight. Unbelievable. Coming up next tonight on this busy news night on Hannity.
The whole place is cracking up. And the next day in the newspaper, it said, Trump throws baby out of arena. Terrible. Now, they're very dishonest.
Donald Trump calls out the abusively biased mainstream media for the dishonest reporting. Guess what? Even the mother of the baby is now calling out the press for their terrible coverage. She'll join us tonight and explain what really happened. Also, you've heard a lot about Khizr Khan, reportedly, said Donald Trump is making mistakes because of Allah. Well, where's all the reporting on this? Dr. Gorka joins us along with Robert Spencer as we continue.
I gently tell a woman that I love her baby and let the baby cry. It's okay. As the baby that had a voice that was superior to Pavarotti, but after about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm trying to speak, and it was in Jacksonville. We had this massive, massive crowd, filled up a stadium, and the baby's screaming. So I said, Ma'am, I'd like to reverse my order. Perhaps you can nicely take the baby out. Your baby's great. I did it so nicely. She was happy. Even the baby was happy. He stopped crying. The whole place is cracking up. And the next day in the newspaper, it said, Trump throws baby out of arena. Terrible. Now, they're very dishonest.
Donald Trump calling out the liberal mainstream media for saying he kicked a crying baby out of a rally. Now, the mother of that baby, Devin Ebert, is with us, and she's just as outraged as Donald Trump. And she says the media, of course, has blown this way out of proportion and that Donald Trump did not kick her out of the rally. Devin is here to join us right now. Devin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, by the way, cute baby. Let's go to the original comment. And he had referred to the baby, talked about how much he likes babies. He made a big deal about the baby, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He went on about it, and he was great. He was really great about it, actually.
All right, let's play it so our audience can be reminded.
Okay.
Don't worry about that baby. I love babies. So I love babies. I hear that baby crying. I like it. What a baby. What a beautiful baby. Don't worry. Don't worry. The mom's running around like, don't worry about it, you know. It's young and beautiful and healthy, and that's what we want. Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here.
All right, clearly joking, clearly having fun with it. You didn't know this blew up until when?
I actually didn't hear his second comment, so I got home that evening, turned on the news, and I actually saw it on Fox News, actually.
Oh, great. That Donald Trump kicks baby out of rally. That's what it was saying?
Yes.
Now, why don't you just, from your perspective, what was happening? How long did it go on? And you felt compelled to speak out. Why?
Well, yeah, because it was just so blown out of proportion. And really, I knew he was joking right from the beginning. And he made light of such a situation that normal, other mothers consider stressful themselves. So, I mean, it was great that he provided that comic relief for me, because it just really did take the stress off of it.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah, well, and, so you like Donald Trump. You went to his rally. You see how the media covers this. He's been making the case that the media is so abusively biased, and I agree with him.
Yes.
What did you learn in this experience?
Don't trust what you hear. The media reporting, obviously.
Yeah, something that I've been preaching for a lot of years here, as I kind of feel at times a lone voice in the wilderness. How old's your little baby, by the way?
He's 1.5 years.
That's awesome. Thank you, Devin. Here with reaction, author, nationally syndicated columnist Cal Thomas, Trump campaign pollster advisor Kellyanne Conway. Look at the comparison. You have Pat Smith speaks at the Republican convention. The liberal media, they're using her for political purposes. They ignore her speech, her criticisms of Hillary, and the lies that Hillary told her. Kazir Khan speaks, and we're going to have an investigation on him in a few minutes, and the media goes insane. How bad is this? I said in 2007, journalism's dead.
Oh, it's worse than 2007, because I believe that the media this time is proud of their one-sided coverage, many of them. On Friday, Hillary Clinton, she called it a press conference. It really wasn't. It was with friendly journalists. And what did she say? I demand that you hold me accountable. Hillary should have said to the media, thanks for all your help. Please send an invoice. Yeah. And there's just no pretense of fair or complete coverage this time. And look at this mother, Devin Ebert. I so enjoyed your interview with her, Sean. It's worse than the media telling us all how we should think. They actually told us what this woman did think and never asked the woman what she thought about Donald Trump. Missing the fact that she had been in a Donald Trump rally. Perhaps she actually supports Donald Trump.
And saying, I love babies. I goes on and on about the baby.
And he does. We've all seen it. Of course he does. He's a great father, grandfather. By the way, he loves unborn babies, too, Hillary.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say, Sean, that this is a case of the media throwing the baby out with the media water. We have prima facie evidence right here in the New York Times today, which, as you know, is something I read every day along with the Bible, so I know what each side is doing. Here's the headline in a Jim Rittenberg piece, says, the challenge Trump poses to objectivity. Who knew that the media ever consider themselves objective? He goes on to say that because so many reporters hate the guy and think he's a threat to the country, their whole idea of fairness is being challenged. I'd like to know an example of when the reporting of the New York Times and some of the other media have ever been fair to a Republican. They build up somebody maybe in 2000 like John McCain, but as soon as he gets the nomination, they start working on him to tear him down. If Mother Teresa were running with an R behind her name, they'd be criticizing her clothing. They'd find out something to criticize of every Republican.
I had 3 people on my radio show today. One was a mother whose 18-year-old son was killed by a son of an illegal immigrant. I had Brian Terry, remember him from Operation Fast and Furious? They give guns to the cartels and the kidnappers. I had his brother on talking about it, and a mother of a Navy SEAL who lost her son because of rules of engagement. And I'm thinking, none of these people ever get any airtime.
None of them are household names. And their grief is diminished, as if not everyone's loss is the same. I believe it is. I think in this case, if the media just exercised proportion control, we would have a much more evenly handed race. But I'll tell you what, it's going to backfire on them. We see it in the numbers sometimes. For all the bad week that we had last week, Donald Trump's image didn't change that dramatically in some of the polls. The horse race number changed, and it's many Republicans just sending a message to him. They'll get back to him, Sean. Those polls will come back around. And all I wanted to say about that is part of Donald Trump's magic is him railing against political correctness, and part of the political correctness that he and his supporters rail against comes from the media.
Very good. Cal, good to see you. Welcome back from Ireland.
Thank you very much. Wish I was there right now.
Oh, boy. Thanks a lot, Cal. Appreciate your company, too. Coming up, it's being reported that Khizr Khan, during an interview, said that Allah is causing Trump to make mistakes on the campaign trail. Where's the same mainstream media? Why aren't they reporting that? We'll check in with Dr. Sebastian Gorka and Robert Spencer. That's next. And then later, is Hillary's health okay? The question now being raised after a judge posted this headline over the weekend. We have a panel of doctors. They're going to weigh in straight ahead. And welcome back to Hannity. So the media has been very quick to praise Khizr Khan. He's the man who attacked Donald Trump in a speech at the DNC last month. But who exactly is Mr. Khan? Now, Khan is a Pakistani-American lawyer and the father of Army Captain Humayun Khan. Now, he was a hero. He was killed in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2004. Well, now all Americans, we all honor his service, his sacrifice, and his courage. And on that, everybody agrees. But Khizr Khan, since his DNC speech, he has made controversial comments. Now, during one recent interview, he said there's no such thing as Sharia law. Really? Take a look.
Sharia law, as we have titled, there is no such thing as Sharia law. These are laws of various Muslim countries, which are hodgepodge of British laws, French laws, Portuguese laws. In there is tremendous discrimination of genders, which disqualifies them under the Constitution of the United States, cannot be implemented, cannot be brought. I do not stand for any Sharia law because there is no such thing.
Okay, but here's a problem. Back in 1983, according to reports, Khan wrote about Sharia in the Houston Journal of International Law, writing, quote, "The invariable and basic rules of Islamic law are only those prescribed in the Sharia, the Quran and Sunnah, which are few and limited." And then he went on to say that all other juridical works which have been written during the more than 13 centuries are very rich and indispensable, but they must always be subordinated to the Sharia. Unfortunately, we have more Khan in a recent interview. He also said that terrorists, it has nothing to do with Islam. Watch this.
What he cites in the name of Islam and all that, that is not Islam at all. I wish he would have, somebody would have put something in his head that these are terrorists, these are criminals, these folks have nothing to do with Islam.
All right, that's not all. Khan also participated last week in an interview with the Pakistani news channel Dunya News. Now, they're reporting, quote, that he, Khan, said that Allah makes people like Trump to make mistakes to discredit them in public eyes forever. Really? Here with reaction, the author of Defeating Jihad, The Winnable War, professor of strategy and irregular warfare at the Institute of World Politics, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, also the author of The Complete Infidel's Guide to Iran, director of Jihad Watch, Robert Spencer. Dr. Gorka, wait a minute. If he's saying, on the one hand, that the rules of Sharia, that those are the rules to follow back in 1983, and then he's saying that Sharia is not a, you know, not what's practiced, how do you deal with that inconsistency?
Sean, we have to look at the facts. I have no interest in attacking a Gold Star father, absolutely not. But he became a political actor as soon as he went to the DNC stage and attacked the presidential candidate. Let's just look at his statement. There's no such thing as Sharia law. If he said that in Saudi Arabia, he would be in big trouble. The fact is, and Professor Spencer knows this better than anybody else, there are multiple schools of Sharia law. Hanafi, Hanbali, Maliki, Al-Shafi. These are the foundations of the Islamic judicial system. To say it doesn't exist is utterly fallacious. And from a man who actually published on these issues, it is more than just disingenuous, Sean.
Okay. What is your take, Robert Spencer?
Well, you know, he is being flagrantly deceptive. Muhammad said war is deceit, and I think Khan was listening. The fact is that Mr. Gorka, Dr. Gorka is quite right, that there are established schools of Sharia jurisprudence, and also there are Sharia states that are avowedly following Islamic law, which they consider to be, and loudly proclaim to be, the immutable and perfect law of Allah. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Pakistan for the most part, Sudan, and others. And so for him to say, and they all, it's worth noting, have remarkably similar character because Sharia has a very particular content. And so they are all repressive regimes that stone adulterers,
do you think he was purposely,
thieves, and
do you
so
think
on.
he was purposely hiding his real views now because he was so advanced in the political narrative, Dr. Gorka?
I can't search his soul, but I do think that it's very, very strange that he makes these kinds of statements that don't comport with what he said earlier. And this last one about Allah is making Trump make mistakes. Imagine if Tyrone Woods' mother or one of the other Benghazi widows had said publicly that Hillary Clinton is falling downstairs because Jesus Christ is making her do that. Could you imagine the furore in the left-wing
Oh my
media,
gosh,
Sean?
it would be nuts.
Could you imagine?
All right, I got to run because we're just short on time here. Thank you both for being with us. When we come back, over the weekend, Drudge posted this headline after it was reported that Hillary Clinton needed help from staffers just to get up the steps back in February, raising a lot of questions about her health. We'll check in with our medical aid team. Dr. Siegel and Dr. Samadi will weigh in. Posted to the website, The American Mirror, is sparking new controversy for the Clinton campaign. Now, the picture, which shows Hillary Clinton apparently needing assistance to climb a flight of stairs at a campaign stop back in February, was picked up by the Drudge Report, which posted this headline over the weekend, detailing Hillary Clinton's history with falls and speculating that the former Secretary of State could be experiencing a serious undisclosed medical condition. Earlier today, we reached out to the Clinton campaign for a statement, and a spokesman told us that the Drudge Report is shameful, and anyone who buys into that vitriol, including yours truly, is shameful as well. So shameful we are. Anyway, but what was noticeably missing from the statement was any reference or rebuttal to the health issues that are alleged by Drudge and others. Joining us now with analysis from the Fox News medical aid team, we have Fox News medical correspondent Dr. Mark Siegel, and Dr. David Samadi is with us. All right. By the way, it's in the Daily Mail. Are Hillary's health problems more severe than thought? A new book is coming out that claims that. The Gateway Pundit had today Hillary's handler carrying a diazepam pen for patients who experience recurrent seizures. When you look at her history, Dr. Siegel, of falling, concussions, the blood clots, etc., and then this other video that has emerged. What are your thoughts?
I think the public has a right to know. Number one, we're talking in 2008, Sean. I looked over 1,000 pages of John McCain's records because of a melanoma he had had 10 years before. What about Hillary? 2009, a severe fall. She breaks an elbow. 2011, she boards a plane, falls. 2012, she has a severe concussion, which Bill Clinton says it took her 6 months to recover from. Then she ends up with a blood clot on the brain. She's on lifetime blood thinners. Just the point alone, if she's prone to falling, and you see from our picture up there that it looks like she can barely get upstairs without two people carrying her. Guess what? If she falls and hits her head, she'll get a blood clot on her brain. What did you
think? Just out of fairness, I don't want to show the video, but I've asked both of you to look at the video where she seems to, like, some have said it's like a mini seizure. What does it look like to you?
It looks to me, I'm also concerned about this concussion she had in 2012. It could be a post-concussion syndrome. You know, your balance is off, you're dizzy all the time, your memory is off, you're not thinking clearly. Maybe that's what she meant this week when she talked about that glitch she had with Chris Wallace. Maybe she just can't
When she says she's short-circuited.
Right.
Also, it's not just that. She doesn't give a lot of press conferences. She doesn't want to seem to put herself in high-pressure situations.
I want to know what her neurologist says. I've reached out to her neurologist at Columbia after she had that fall, no comment. I want to know what her neurological record shows.
And you think, as you have done this with John McCain and other presidential candidates, obviously John McCain is older, you think it's fair game, especially if people see that some things seem a little off.
Not just fair game, just the point alone that she's on blood thinners and seems to be prone to falls.
Why would you need blood
if she falls
thinners
when she's in the White
Is there a
House?
possibility she had a mini stroke, a TIA?
Absolutely.
What do you think, Doctor? You believe that?
Well, you know, the picture that you showed as she's going up the stairs speaks a million words. So is she really fatigued? Is she dehydrated? One of the main reasons why she fell in 2012 and had the concussion was severe dehydration. They're holding her and going up the stairs, so she may be really dehydrated. She may have arthritis. She may have back pain. She may have fallen again that we don't know. So there are a lot more questions that's unanswered. What we know today is that she is on thyroid medications. She suffers from hypothyroid or low thyroid that can cause some fatigueness and gaining weight and all of that.
What about this photo that the Gateway Pundit had up today, and Jim Hoft did an article, and, you know, Hillary's handler, I guess, called was a diazepam pen. What would that be for?
So one of the things that happens after having concussion, usually within a year or so, you should all the symptoms should resolve. Occasionally, you have a latent or delayed kind of post-concussion syndromes, and seizure
like
is one of
traumatic
those.
head issues for football players.
Exactly what it is. And that can come years down the road. She may have some of the symptoms.
You think that's what you're seeing?
Well, I certainly think that a traumatic brain injury with symptoms down the road is very, very likely here, especially since she had a blood clot on her brain. And as David was mentioning, that can actually lead to a seizure problem. Someone's carrying a pen that you would use in the case of a seizure, a Valium pen. That makes me wonder about that. We need to see her records to see what's the sequelae
They want
of
Donald Trump's
damage to the
tax.
brain.
There's two things we want from her. We want her speeches to Wall Street and the medical records in full.
In
That
full.
you think.
I mean, Donald Trump eating fast food is nothing compared to this. Bill Clinton ate fast food in the White House.
That's
President
true.
Bush told me in the White House he couldn't stay away from the pastry chef.
Well, the other thing
and look
that-
at him now.
All right,
Great shape.
I got a break, but all right, so it's something to follow. People should pay attention. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you both. Coming up, very important question of the day. We need your help. Straight ahead. And time for our question of the day. So what did you think of Donald Trump's economic plan, especially in light of all the statistics we put forward about Obama's last years? And, of course, Hillary wants to continue that. Just go to Facebook.com/Sean Hannity, @Sean Hannity on Twitter. Let us know what you think. It's all the time we have left this evening. Quick programming note. Tune in tomorrow night, 10 Eastern. The Republican nominee himself, Donald Trump, will join us right here on this program. Again, that's tomorrow night at 10. But thank you for being with us. We will see you back here tomorrow night.